G'day! It's great to have you back at the Shine Wellbeing Veg Patch. Today we've got an impromptu tour, just a casual wander through the garden and show you some of my favourite plants at this time of year. Let's get our hands dirty. We'll start here at the arbor. This arbor is just inundated with pumpkins, passion fruits and chocos. Vertical spaces are amazing for giving you more growing space without taking up too much real estate. So if you're growing in a small area, something like this is going to be an absolute winner. So down in here we've got the gorgeous nasturtium. Did you know nasturtiums are an amazing medicinal plant, very good for anti-cancer properties. You can eat not only the fruit but the flowers and also the leaves. So nasturtiums, beautiful, buttery, peppery flavor. You can shred them, you can put them into stir fries, have them in a salad, whatever you like. They're really quite delicious. Nasturtiums, easy to grow, good for you. Moving forward, we're down here in the rhubarb. My goodness, this is a Sydney crimson, beautiful plant, and it's got some really nice stems coming through. This plant's only a year and a half old, so it's still finding its feet, but it's doing particularly well because it's tucked in with the Shine Wellbeing worm kitchen. And the worm kitchens help the plants to find all of that good microbiome and nutrient availability in the soil. So if you haven't got a worm kitchen, there's videos on the channel where you can check them out, and highly recommend. We've got them dotted throughout all of the garden, which you're going to see today anyway. Moving along, tucked in down here we've got the olive herb. This is a tiny little needle-like structure of a leaf. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's really reminiscent, of an olive. So it's getting the olive in your dish without actually adding more olives, if that's what you're after. Great for Mediterranean dishes. Just to the back of the olive herb we've got the curry plant, and this is an absolute winner when it comes to anything connected to eggs. So curried eggs, deviled eggs, anything like that, you're going to have a beautiful curry element. It's just lovely on its own, and the smell, I mean, when you rub it in your hands like so. So moving back past the olive herb and the curry plant, we've got a dahlia coming to the end of its days, and that's no problem. Shortly this will look way too raggy and it'll have brought all its nutrients down and into the bulb, and then I'll just trim it off when it's dead and done for the season. And in the spring, kaboom, it's going to come back up and make a beautiful ornamental element to the garden, but help, most importantly, support our pollinators. We've got some leeks in the ground. Leeks are a fantastic staple for any of your winter soups and stews. And then just in the front of that, we've got a small row of brown onions because I couldn't fit them in to Veg Temple 3, which we're going to have a look at shortly. To the back of that, we've got the gorgeous Thai chili. This plant just keeps going and going and going. You can't beat a good Thai chili plant, and in our climate this will fruit into the winter. Once it gets super chilly and we get too many frosts, it'll start to slow down and look a bit raggy. I'll give it a good trim. which there's videos on this if you want to check it out on the channel. And then give it a good trim and a feed, and in the spring, boom, it'll be back to life and thriving yet again. We're moving on now to Veg Temple 1. Full of beautiful chocos, and you can see that the choco sort of floats up and over, and there are plenty of chocos hanging from the rooftop. Up in here we've also got the Strawberry Falls. The Strawberry Falls are all about using that vertical space yet again in similar fashion to the arbor, but it allows us to grow the strawberries without so much slug damage, and that's the philosophy behind it. It's all automated, so there's not much work to it because we've got the irrigation system feeding into it. So as soon as I flick it on, those strawberries are getting watered and I don't have to think too much about it. So traveling back down from the rooftop in the Strawberry Falls, we're now coming down into the heart of the Veg Temple 1. And in here we have an abundance of basils, a couple of different varieties, and then we've also got a couple of random potatoes. Now these potatoes, when I harvested them last time, I didn't pick them. I obviously didn't get them all, and they've just popped up, so that's no problem. I'll be enjoying potatoes in no time. If you climb in here with me and you have a look down here, look at that little beauty. That's ready to go. I could pick that right now. Why not? Let's give it a go. And there we are. A gorgeous, getting tangled up, gorgeous spud for lunch. How magic is that? And the great thing about picking your potatoes straight fresh from the ground is they're full of prana. In yoga we call that the life force or prana, and so this is the advantage of having your produce fresh from the ground. But the other great thing with it is that you don't have to wait to cure this. You only need to cure your potatoes if you're going to store them. And if you're going to store them, yeah, you want to leave them for 2 weeks and then brush the soil off them gently and pop them away accordingly. But if you're going to eat them fresh, no time wasted. You're going to be able to just get stuck straight into your potatoes without any curing time. Yay! Veg Temple 2 is an eclectic mix of chaos, and it's meant to be that way. Not everything has to be fully ordered and structured and planned and thought and calculated, and this bed is a perfect example of just that. This bed worked really hard last year, and so we wanted to give it a little bit of a break. So we planted just one plant in here, which is a hardy doer known as the cucamelon, and then we also added in an ornamental of the hollyhock. So both did really well, but we just didn't bother putting in a large number of different plants in this area because it was time to give this bed a little bit of a rest. This bed's going to become the corn bed, I think, the next season. So that was part of the theory behind it. But as you can see, the cucamelon has absolutely loved its life, and it's full of fruit. Now I've started pulling it back, so the whole cucamelon's going to be coming out in the next few days. All of this mess and chaos won't go to waste. It'll be fed to the chooks, and the chickens will go through it, pull out all the pests, enjoy the greens. It'll improve the egg quality, make them happy chickens, which is a big part of what we do, and it just means there's zero waste in the patch. Now, I think that's an amazing way to go, don't you? But for now, there's still plenty of fruit on it. So this little beauty is a cucamelon fruit, and it is grape size, not much bigger than a grape, but it's quite a delicious little bundle of joy. Wow. Imagine a cucumber mixed with a touch of lemon. And that's what you've got, cucamelon. If you haven't grown them before, what are you waiting for? You haven't lived till you tried a cucamelon. And these guys are just so easy. Toss them straight into your salads for a beautiful, tangy, sweet, delicious, no fuss grower. Can't beat cucamelon. Cucamelons are hardy and they'll grow in most extremes. What I've used here is actually a little bit of a shade cloth barrier. We call these the Shine Wellbeing summer shades, and we pop them on in the peak of summer to help reduce some of the water wastage and also to help the plants get through some of the intensity of our summer. But as you can see, cucamelon has made a home by tying its tendrils into the shade, which makes a great little lightweight structure for something like this to grow on. Once the cucamelon's removed, I will be taking the summer shades out and storing them for the winter. Veg Temple 3 is all about brown onions. It is fully planted out with the brown onion, and this is going to take about 26 weeks for it to come to harvest. But that's no problem. In the meantime, I've utilized a little bit of the space by popping in this portable trellis that we make, and if you're interested in those, there's a video on that, but to put in some snow peas. So the snow peas will be up and harvested and gone by the time that the brown onions are ready to be harvested. Also taking up a little bit of space in the bed is the parsley. And did you know that parsley is a great herb for your kidneys and for your blood? So it's great having a pile of parsley in your patch, because as you wander past, you can take a little bit of its magic medicine. Nothing beats fresh. Veg Temple 4 is up next. And here we are, magically, at Veg Temple 4. You might notice that I have these baskets hanging around. These are the harvest baskets that we use for day-to-day stuff. We'll just pop whatever we're harvesting into those, and then off we go. And we have quite a few of them, so if you forget to bring them back from the kitchen, it's not the end of the world. So this means I've always got something on hand to harvest. But Veg Temple 4 is all about the loofah, and we're growing loofah this year because we're making our own dish scourers. So we usually use the nylon ones, but I noticed that as you use them, they break down quite a lot. And I'm like, where's all that nylon going? Either into the waterways, or it's going into microelements of that are sitting in our dishes, and they're going into our food. So it's not something I wanted, and this is the solution. So all I need to do is harvest a loofah and there you have it. I cut this open and peel back the skin, and then I'll cut it into sections about so big, and this will make a good 20 or more scourers for me. So very, very handy. And then I just plant more for next season, and I've got plenty of seed in there, as you can hear. So very good. Make a great maraca for the kids. So we're heading back down now. Sorry about that. Sorry to donkeys into the harvest basket. Actually, that reminds me, I did need a harvest basket, so thanks for helping me remember that. We've got our harvest basket now, compliments of you guys, and then we're going to head down to Veg Temple 5. Let's pop our potato into the harvest basket. Oh, and did you see, little burp there, sorry, just been eating so much of the produce. These are the projects from last week, the topiary, and they're just going really, really well, nice and steady. Given them a couple of waters since we did the video for last week, and before you know it, they're going to be up and flourishing, so that'll be nice to see. Veg Temple 5 is next on our list. Let's go. And all we need to do is spin around. So here we are. Boom, like magic. Veg Temple 5. Deep down in here, in the understory, we have more onions, and these are red onions that are growing in here. On the upper canopy, we've got the beans, and they're doing quite well. And once they're finished being harvested, then it'll make more space and room and energy for the onions. But because the onions are slow producers, there's no harm in having something growing close by as long as you keep the nutrients up to them. So just on from the beans and from the viola, we've got our slug pub tucked in the corner, and then we're running through the back of here with ruby red cabbages. Here we are in Veg Temple 6, and the capsicum is coming to an end. It's really starting to struggle. So that will be coming out in the next day or two. Throughout the front of the area here, we have, I can't even remember now. Let me check my tags. Broccoli. So they're purple sprouting broccoli. If you're interested, this is how I remember what I've got planted. I use my own homemade labels. If you're interested in those, there's a video on how to make them as well. Oh gosh, and we've got potatoes all growing through the back. You might remember this in one of the self-sufficiency series where I planted just shop-bought potatoes that were starting to wilt and get a bit daggy in the kitchen, and they went in the ground here. And this is the result of that. Look at it. There is just so much life going on there. Veg Temple 7, the home of garlic. We've planted out an abundance of garlic here. These are the giant Russian, or sometimes known as elephant garlic, and the cloves of the garlic are about that size. So really nice big cloves. Personally, I like the flavour. A little milder than most garlics, but because you've got so much of it, you can just add more. So partnering with the garlic is the calendula. Now, calendula, many of you know I'm a very keen herbalist. Calendula is a master herb, and it speeds up the rate of healing by about 20,000 times. Alright, over in the back section here, this is the western border, and we're going to just pop in and have a quick look at that as well. You just can't beat fresh turmeric. It is the bomb. Look at that, gorgeous, fresh turmeric, straight from the ground. That is full of goodness right there that you're not going to get from dried turmeric. So if you've got the opportunity to grow your own, get it in the ground. So here we are in the final stages of the western border bed for stage 2 of the vegetable garden. So for those of you who aren't familiar, we've done this garden in stages. So stage 1 was beds, Veg Temples 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then stage 2 was the gathering place, and Veg Temple 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. And then the Taj Veg Temple came in as well. And now we're working on, just over the back, stage 3, which includes a dove temple, more border beds, a new chicken yard, and a gorgeous seating area. Alright, so anyway, I digress. So in here it looks like a bit of a weedy mess, but it has its purpose. We've got celery seedlings just popping up straight from the ground. A pumpkin which is just almost ready to harvest. How do you know if your pumpkins are ready? The plant starts to die back like so, and your pumpkin skin starts to get a little bit of an orange tinge. Now this doesn't happen for all pumpkins, but for most varieties it does. And so you get this little orange tinge. If that tinge is white, it's not right. So think of that next time you're harvesting your pumpkins and you're not quite sure whether it's ready to pick, go for the golden. And then underneath here is one of the timber blocks that I use to stop my pumpkins from getting the rot. So here we are. It just sits on the soil, so it takes all that moisture from the soil, and then the pumpkin has got good airflow and doesn't rot. And this improves the storage life of your pumpkins quite a lot. So it's not just about stopping them from rotting right now, it's about improving the storage so that you can use that beautiful pumpkin deliciousness for the future. So that's the story behind the pumpkins. Then we've got the yacon, and then deep inside this jungle, yacon jungle, is sweet potatoes. This is actually my pantry for sweet potatoes. I don't bother taking them out. They're just sitting in here, just doing their thing, doing the same thing that they would in the pantry, but they're not drying out and losing their vitality. Let's take a closer look. We've got sweet potatoes by the mile. Look at them all. There's so many sweet potatoes. And if we look over here, there's even more. Just give it a little bit of a wriggle. And voila, that's a gorgeous little sweet potato. Full of life and energy. And you know what? You could cut off that top and plant it in the ground and it would grow again. But for me, I've got plenty here, so I'm happy with that. Let's add him to our harvest basket. In it goes. We've got a potato, sweet potato, fresh turmeric, and our loofah. So cycle back to Veg Temple 7. Last season we grew an abundance of tomatoes, but the problem was we ran out of garlic, and that abundance of tomatoes made all of our tomato sauces, our passata, pizza sauce, chutneys, anyway, all of the tomatoey things. But we ran out of garlic, and so we had to buy the garlic in, and so that was just a waste. So now's the time to get garlic in the ground, or about a month ago it was, and so I got it in, and hopefully this carries us over. If not, it'll be 2 veg temples of garlic for next season. So we're always learning about what the volume is that we need for the garden to keep our bellies full. Here we are, Veg Temple 8. We've got lots of brassicas in here. We've got some beautiful iceberg lettuces. I don't tend to grow iceberg in the garden until it starts to cool off, because it just becomes a bit of a waste. Here it tends to bolt to seed, and it gets a bit of flavour when it's too hot. So this is the perfect time as we move into late autumn to have the iceberg in the ground in our climate. And honestly, you don't get any fresher or better than that. Look at that. Isn't that? That's just art right there. I check it off for any kind of little critters. Nothing there. Wow. You wouldn't believe the flavours in that. You're never going to get that in the shop. Okay. I've clearly bitten off more than I can chew. I'm going to spin you around and let you enjoy the garden. It's just too good to waste. I tell you, the flavour, it's the flavour alone. If you're ever going to need a reason to start your own veg patch, it's the flavour. You know, no chemicals, nothing has touched this besides just a good bit of dirt, some good mulch, and a bit of nice fresh water. That's it. Growing your own can't be simpler, but having the systems in place makes all of the difference. I don't want to keep this waiting. This won't go to waste. We're going to pop it in the worm kitchen. that'll become amazing plant and worm food, and voila, no waste. So as we move through, we've got cauliflowers here, ornamentals in the urn, our iceberg lettuces. Growing organically isn't always pretty, yeah? There's good bite-sized pieces missing out of my plants, and there's not a leaf that hasn't been touched. But it's really not the end of the world. We've got a large population of blue wrens, and they come and they love to enjoy the beautiful deliciousness of the caterpillars. But I'll come along and pick them off as well. And picking them off, I'll put them into the slimy terminator, and they become protein sources for the chickens. So really not a big problem. And that's how I manage the caterpillars, you know. Always going to get a little bit of damage. Like here's one here. Look, this little guy, he's going to go into the slimy terminator and become lunch for the chooks. In the back here, a gorgeous fire chili. It has just done amazingly well and continues to do well. And then down in here, we've got some more brown onions because we are trying to increase the number of onions that we harvest this year because we ran out last year. Some fresh chives, really lovely, just to add to anything you've got in your kitchen. And I mean, fresh is best. Veg Temple 9. Let's go. Veg Temple 9 has the Greek basil in it. This has performed incredibly well throughout a very hot summer. And you can see a lot of it's going to seed now, but that's not a problem. We're going to harvest this seed. We had a very wet couple of weeks, but we've got a dry couple of days. So I'm hoping to get to these seeds on Thursday before the next lot of rain comes. And I'm going to save that seed because this is what we've used in all of our passadas, all our tomato sauces, tomato soups, pasta sauce, you name it, everything that we've done, pizza sauces, chutneys. It's been our chosen basil because it's just so aromatic, and I personally prefer it to the sweet basil for all of that sort of preserved foods. For stir fries and things, Thai type dishes, sweet basil's always going to be my go-to. So nice to have a variety, and that is just a lovely basil to work with. It's just so hardy, and it does so incredibly well through the summer. Doesn't bolt to seed, and it just keeps producing and producing. But if you can get your hands on some of that, definitely do. Off to the back of the Greek basil, we have got broccoli. I think these are green dragon. I'm not quite sure. Let me check the tags. Yeah, they are. So these are the green dragon broccoli. And then here, again, it continues on until we get to the white cauliflowers. So white cauliflowers are in this side, and green dragon broccoli is on that side. And this monstrous beauty over here is the rhubarb. This is such a beautiful plant. Look at the size of that leaf. I mean, my goodness, it is just enormous. It's like an elephant's ear. And you can see tucked in here is all this gorgeous crimson deliciousness that we'll harvest a little later on. And oh, look, this plant is so beautiful. It just feels divine. I do it all day long. But I better get back to work. Just off of Veg Temple 9 is the Taj Veg Temple. And it is inundated with chocos. Some of them are so big. Look at the size of this guy. Like, that's my head. And that's the choco. It's huge. Absolutely enormous. And there's more hanging up inside this beautiful green canopy. And when I want a fresh choco, all I need to do is climb up in there, pull one down. Magic. So the Taj Veg Temple is made up of 3 veg temples basically. So the first part of it has got our chocos in it. The second part has been used for a lot of our different varieties of chilies. Then the final part of the veg temple one has our asparagus. It might look a bit weedy and crazy, but down here it's home to the asparagus, and you're going to see what I mean. Look at all of this beautiful asparagus. These are only 1-year-old plants, and I cannot wait to get my teeth stuck into them. I'm holding off, I'm resisting the urge to eat them, because you don't want to harvest your asparagus when they're young. You want to let them grow, creating more and more shoots. Thanks so much for joining me in the Shine Wellbeing Veg Patch today. I hope you found this video useful. I can't wait to see you again in the next one. If you liked it, please click that like button and hit subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss out on future tours and what we're getting up to in the Shine Wellbeing Veg Patch. Have a beautiful day. Shine.